You're from the guys. Okay. I didn't know Phil. I forgot to check with Phil today if somebody was coming. Oh, to make sure. Good, thanks. Just wanted to make sure somebody, usually we like to make sure somebody's here just in case the board has any questions. Yeah. But they've been forwarded everything from when you were at the Park and Rec meeting, so. Okay, good. You know, if they have any questions, we'll let you know, but, okay, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Just get it a couple times. I look at that, but that's all right. No, cool. How you doing today? Good. How are you? Good.
Yeah, if I could ask you all to join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is the appointment of a police officer. There is a motion to approve the hiring of Bryce O'Connor, the probationary officer, effective May 8th.
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item is oath of office. If you would like to come up. And we will. You get me as a stand-in judge. You'll have the formal. I'll come over there.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming. Place your hand on the Bible. Repeat after me. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, County of Bucks, Township of New Britain. I, Bryce O'Connor, do solemnly swear
I, Bryce O'Connor, do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of New Britain Township,
and the ordinances of New Britain Township,
and that I will discharge my duties of this office as police officer
and that I will discharge my duties of this office of police officer
in New Britain Township with honor and fidelity.
of New Britain Township with honor and fidelity.
I do further swear that I will uphold,
I do further swear that I will uphold,
obey, and enforce the law
obey, and enforce the law
without consideration to a person's race,
without consideration to a person's race,
color, sex, religion, religious creed,
color, sex, or religious creed,
sexual orientation, age, or national origin,
sexual orientation, age, or national origin,
ancestry, handicap, or disability.
ancestry, handicap, or disability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All of it.
Welcome to the force. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, not congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you want to ask?
Thank you, sir.
Do you have the official
Thank you, sir.
plaque to give it?
It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Who has the official plaque?
Anybody else want to get a picture? No?
See that in case we go.
Background. Oh. You can tell that.
Or I guess I can do. Okay, next item, chair comments. The board met in executive session before this meeting to discuss personnel and litigation matters. The next item we have is employee service awards. And we have 5 years for Officer Catherine Gafal, 5 years for Shell Clancy, 10 years for Sanda Chambers, 10 years for William Black, and 30 years for Corporal Joseph Karpovich. Rather than me read this announcement we have for each one of these individuals, I'm going to read it once. And we can go from there. You'll
You sit down.
I guess we'll sit down. I'll sit down. New Britain Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. In appreciation and recognition of the aforementioned individuals with 5, 10, and 30 years of service. Loyalty and commitment form the basis of any successful relationship, whether it be family or business. We feel that New Britain Township is loyal and committed to making our township the best it can be, and you are a significant part of New Britain Township. Thank you for your 5, 10, or 30 years of service. Signed, the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors. And I guess if you'd all like to come up and get your recognition, we would really appreciate it.
There's only one here.
Only one here?
Yeah, and this purple carpet.
Okay. I guess 5 and 10 years doesn't make much difference.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations, John.
Yeah, we should do a picture.
Let's do a picture.
You're gonna take 30 years.
It's just
ours. We're gonna hire you there. Over. You just wanted to be here for 5.
I was actually hitting.
Here, I sell these things. Yeah, you want to jump in the middle? Just give a look. Yeah, you're good. Orange or flowers. And then she's moving better. Right.
Yes.
There's actually more here than I would have anticipated sticking around.
Okay. Next item is presentation items. Life-saving, excuse me, life-saving award, New Britain Township Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is anyone from the dash guy? Don't believe they made it to the meeting, Mr. Chairman. See if they show up.
Okay, we'll table that for right now. Next item we have is Coleman Property Planning Study. Chris Stanford, Michael Baker.
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
My name is Chris Stanford. I'm with Michael Baker International. As you probably recall, we've been helping the township with the Neshaminy Greenway Trail project at the property on Upper State Road. Before I get into proposal, I want to share up a couple notes on that project. We actually have some really good news. We got our DEP permit for that project, so we're moving forward with bidding and advertising shortly. So we had a meeting with staff and Parks and Rec and Public Works recently about that project, and several items came up on the table that precipitated this proposal for the planning study. There were several ideas and several initiatives that were brought up, including the potential for some public space there, including a pavilion and some restrooms. It was noted that a cell tower and an access road is potentially slated for that property. As well as the grand vision was to add some nature trails, some passive meadow spaces and some other improvements on the site. So the consensus of the group was that that we should put together a planning study proposal and present it to the township. I believe you all received a copy of that, and also as part of that proposal, we'll be seeking some grants to fund the improvements once they're fully fleshed out. So we've presented this proposal to the township and be happy to answer any questions about it.
How long would it take to complete the study, do you believe?
I would estimate probably about 6 months, that time frame, depending on how much interaction we have with the township and if there's any need to, get any public feedback, that sort of thing.
When would you anticipate starting to work on the existing greenway?
Trail? Probably later this summer. We've got a meeting with DCNR today. It was very positive. They were eager for us to get it out the door and into construction. So I don't think they're going to have any issues with us putting it out to bid in the near future. And then so we probably be starting July, August timeframe. I know the township folks have already started some of the preliminary work.
Okay.
So,
other questions?
I'm going to say, honestly, I was a little surprised at the price just because I haven't had anything to compare it to. So that was my first glance. So could you just flesh out a little bit more of what this would give us?
Sure. So what some of the things that came up at our discussion was the need for or the desire for a pavilion and restroom facilities. So the planning activities around figuring out where a pavilion would go, what it would look like, capacity, what things would serve the township's needs the best, but also evaluating different options for restrooms, looking at utilities that are on site or not on site. So we actually had 3 different options for restroom facilities that were included that will be evaluated. We're also looking at developing basically an overall concept plan for the property. Where the cell tower might go, where access roads might go, the nature trails, passive uses in meadow space, potential future connections and footbridge over to the Quinlan Nature Preserve, any other uses that the township staff would see appropriate there. Also included is the grant writing assistance. We anticipated submitting 2 grants for this particular effort, so that would fund the improvements, likely DCNR and BTD probably, and including in that grant writing would be cost estimating as well. So we would have to, basically price out the different concepts that are involved with the study. Also included are various meetings, coordination meetings related to all the activities in the scope of the study.
Okay, would that include some public meetings or would that be just internal meetings?
We did not anticipate any public meetings,
okay,
but we could talk about that if that's something you're interested in doing. Yeah.
And the 2 grants, are they 50% matches from the township to the grants, or are they a little bit more, a little bit less?
DCNR, I believe, is 50-50. DCED, I believe, is 30%. You have to contribute 30% of the overall project cost. A little bit different match than DCNR. But they both would be good fits for these park improvements.
How would those 2 grants overlap or interact with each other? If you're doing a 50-50 and a 30-70, how exactly does that work?
Good question. We probably would have to separate the work. So for example, like DCNR, maybe we could, fund up the pavilion and the restrooms and maybe some of the nature trails, and then DCD might fund some of the other items that are left in the improvement plan. So they probably would have to be separate just to keep things clean from a accounting point of view.
You actually have to bid it out separately.
Yes. Yeah.
So the whole project has to be managed as 2 projects.
Okay. So you'd have to delineate specifically what are going to be the DCD grants and what are going to be the DCNR.
$5 million one, and the entire project is separated into 2 for the park.
Right. So they won't. So DCD being a 30-70 is not going to look at the DCNR half of it. It's just going to be, even though it's a large concept.
Because you only solicit bids on the part of that.
Yes. Right. Okay.
And all payment, everything is processed separately as if they're 2 projects.
Okay.
And what's your experience with considering that this is a starting from scratch kind of thing with a very wooded area? What would have you come across doing this kind of thing, this concept for such a untouched area?
Yes, our firm has a lot of experience doing park concept plans. We've worked, a lot of the trail work with you, Cynthia, and a lot of other municipalities. We've helped them with similar park plans before. A lot of it is understanding what natural resources are there, what are the areas, understanding the floodplain impacts. We talked a little bit about that in our meeting because of the Neshaminy Creek, obviously, and the flooding events that happen. Having appreciation for that. Any wetlands around the site. Obviously planning things that, we talked about some of the nature trails and stuff that could get flooded, periodically. These days, unfortunately, we're having flood events, not one every 100 years, but one every 5 years, it seems like now.
Yeah.
So just knowing about those sort of things, and then just using experience from our landscape architecture firm folks, and the other civil engineering folks in our company to plan out the appropriate facilities, whether it's pavilions, restrooms, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, now since this is an unbudgeted expense this year, if we did go forward with it, could we use our park and rec fund to?
We can use open space funds for this.
Open space.
Since we used open space funds to purchase the property, we can use a percentage of that for maintenance and development of it.
Okay, and would we have capacity to do that, considering we're doing other things with?
Capacity in what we
More
go.
As
than
in,
enough
how much
funds.
money? Do we have more funds?
Financial capacity?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We do.
Personnel capacity, we could talk about.
Okay. Well, to do this, it would be all on me. For most of it, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'll be
so-
staff related.
Yes, there's always staff related expenses, and also the public works staff could be involved in it as well. We go to constructions, the construction phase.
Okay.
Yep. There's always staff time, and Chris is just really difficult to manage. You can tell by his demeanor, right? There's always staff time with meetings and those sorts of things. So there's always a commitment, but we have the bandwidth to do this if the board so chooses that this is a priority.
Do you mean the construction part, or do you mean
This initial phase.
the study phase?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know enough about the construction phase to know whether or not
Yeah.
we can commit to that yet.
In fact,
Study isn't coming in for 6 months. I don't think construction's gonna be,
No, but when he said,
yeah, when you said
Stop.
6 months, was that just the planning part of it?
Yeah, that's.
And then grant would be after grants, then
Yeah, I think we would
construction.
aim, right, yeah, we would aim for April of these, next April is DCNR, so that'd be a good opportunity, I think that would work out well timing wise for the first grant opportunity. Then I think DCNR is, DCD is typically in the summer, July timeframe, I think, right, Craig, is usually July.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably too soon maybe for this year, but the following year, we could potentially look at that.
Yeah, I would rather you not rush for a summer grant cycle when this is a rather large, well, not a large, but it's going to take a lot of thought on our part to see what, is suggested and what feedback we get in terms of how to use the property properly. So,
Related to that, the task 3 is the overall concept plan. Now I know you got some planning at task 1 and 2, but I don't know if you want to have him set up the contract where you do the overall concept ideas and you work on that first and come up with kind of a master concept plan, and then that'll flush out some of the other issues related to pavilion, public event space, some of the stuff you've already been talking about. That could happen a little later. Some of that might even go away if you decide that, hey, we're not ready for this X, Y, or Z. Then he doesn't have to worry about that. The contract's set up as a lump sum. Could you break down each task for them? Because I'm not sure they're ready.
Phase it, like have like phase
Well,
one.
Is that
yeah.
what you're saying? Like,
Well, I just know based on feedback from them that they're not ready for like task 1 and 2.
well, that's
Grant
my
writing.
question is your proposal letter linear, or is it just priority points?
Yeah.
So just because 3 is 3 doesn't mean it's not number
exactly.
1.
Yeah, we could
Okay.
rearrange it.
But it's a lump, but you're saying it's a lump sum of 42,000.
Yeah, that was our understanding, but if we wanted to break into pieces, we could do that too. Yeah, so,
I think from what I'm hearing so far, I think they may want it broken down to pieces. A little bit easier to swallow.
or give us more input during the entire process before you spend time planning something and bring it in, and we say, oh, no, that's not what we want, or you have to go back and redo it.
Yeah, because in the process of talking about the overall park concept plan, we may disqualify the bathrooms entirely. Or even the pavilion may turn into more of an open air recreational area as opposed to a covered area. Who knows? We don't know. So, yeah, maybe we would want to consider. I don't know.
Well, I think in defense of Chris's proposal, based upon that meeting that we had, it was in the Chamonix Greenway Trail. You know, Greg and Cynthia, you were there. I think you did a really good job in taking what was discussed at that meeting and put it into a proposal. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Chris would be amenable to amend it if the rest of the board sees that you would rather go forward with the project in a different phased approach. I think Chris would be open to that also. But I think he did a really good job in encapsulating what was discussed at that meeting,
right,
and gave us a proposal.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I just know that, you know, I you know, in feedback from, you know, other members of the board, there is some hesitancy on certain aspects of this project. So, you know, to allocate or, you know, commit to $20,000 worth of a proposal that, you know, we're not even quite sure we have a majority of the board it definitely wants to go that route, maybe a waste of taxpayers' money. So, you know, there's still some conversations that have to be had, but until we actually sit down and have some direction for an overall concept and, you know what we can do with the site, where the proper areas to maybe, you know, place things are and how it interacts with the Greenway Trail. You know, there's a need for an overall concept because we do have the Greenway Trail running through there already.
Right.
And we do need to, as we've discussed, the cell tower concept needs to be taken into account with all of that as well. So that being said, anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have concern about spending this kind of money on something that we haven't fully fleshed out in terms of what we actually want to see there. So I think if there is an option to phase it or do this in smaller chunks, I think that would be preferred. And also with a proposal of this size, you know, having nothing to compare it to, it's hard to know. You know, obviously the reputation of the company is great. We've worked with you on the Chamonix Greenway Trail, but it's hard to know whether this is it's the appropriate amount of money to be spending on this without having anything else to compare it to at this point.
I raise it that and not every part of that property is something we can look to use or even want to use, and we have a large floodplain area. So if we find out that 90% of it's floodplain, then we're probably not going to be building much on there. But so would it be possible just to sort of do a survey? I mean, you're familiar with the property, and say these are the areas that you could put something on. These are the areas that are best where
we do already have that.
But we have that already.
Mr. Coleman conducted one before we purchased it, where he had a whole survey done on the property.
Oh,
which we do have.
Can we get a copy of that?
Sure.
That'd be interesting.
Essentially where you see everything that's been developed, the house and the bull barn, that's not in the floodplain. Everything else is in the floodplain.
Okay.
So visually, when you go out there, when you see if it's mowed, not in the floodplain, all the trees, floodplain.
Okay. Well, maybe you can talk with Chris and try and get a better idea of what we're looking for and what steps we want to.
You know, I would like to bring something to the board to consider as a starting point, because doing nothing, you know, I hear that the board wants to do something and we can't move forward without taking a step. So I really appreciate Chris coming in.
I want to take a step. I just, you know, we, you know, and I'm one of the ones pushing this concept of doing this planning study for this property, because we, again, as I stated in previous meetings, we use taxpayer money to preserve an area of open space in the township. And, you know, we should provide some services to our residents after spending that money. And I think this is a site that, you know, with the trail being part of it, that could use some sprucing up in terms of its ability to affect people's lives positively, you know, i.e. the connection to the Quinlan Nature Preserve and all that, you know, all the other stuff. But I do know that some of the board members are concerned about the pavilion and restrooms, but I don't know that we can It's like, how do you do this, chicken or the egg?
So
You know, we're like, you know,
I would say let's start with this as a jumping off point and put onto another board, onto another meeting, that we have a discussion about this with all of us thinking about what do we see this piece of property, what's the potential for it, and where do we want to go? And
we
then
know what a
maybe,
few of us want already. It's
but we don't talk about it. We don't give it
been talked
time.
about publicly.
Yes, so we
Here.
need to give it a
Right.
point and say, let's have that discussion. Then we can ask our public if they would like to come and bring their ideas, what they would like to see there as well. So,
well, I actually thought they were supposed to be informed of this meeting tonight. Were they, or no? So,
Publicly advertised.
so, you know, but anyway, so we'll, you know,
So I mean, Matt, you know, what I'm hearing is maybe we work this just to be more of a general planning step that's not as large as this, you know, this level, and then talk more about the big picture, where we can do things, where we can't do things. If you're interested in a public aspect to that, maybe we could have a workshop or something where you could have some, or maybe you could get a committee of some residents to help give some ideas for it. But maybe I can talk with Matt afterwards, and we can rework this to be more in line with what we're thinking of.
yeah, just to give them an avenue to come and give us their ideas of what they would like to see at that place.
I mean, we've done online public surveys. We can do all kinds of, you know, outreach if you're interested. So
yeah,
let me know.
Yeah,
But, we can talk to Matt, and we can figure out how to make this the next step for you guys.
yeah, yes. Thank you, Chris.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Next item we have is a public hearing on ordinance 2323-0402, establish an environmental advisory council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the board is aware, you'd previously approved for advertisement the draft ordinance creating an environmental advisory council. For point of clarification, the original approved draft read Environmental Advisory Committee. The difference between council, the statute states council. The material difference between council and committee, there is no material difference. So if you choose to call it a council, we can call it a council. The copy of the ordinance that is in your packet reads council, but just for the public record, the copy that was advertised in the public read committee. If you wish to change it to council, we would just need a simple motion tonight. That being said, the board did previously authorize the advertisement of this ordinance. I will state for purposes of this hearing that the ordinance was advertised in the Intelligencer on May the 5th, 2023. Proof of that advertisement has been forwarded to Township staff. I also provided a copy of the ordinance as it was approved for advertisement to the Bucks County Law Library for their records as well. And with that, I would like to open the hearing to public comment on this ordinance, Mr. Chair. Is there any public comment regarding the ordinance creating the Environmental Advisory Council / Committee?
Point we felt 100 Burley Drive. In a small explanation, what is it going to be doing?
The Environmental Advisory Council or Committee, essentially, and I'll read it to you right from the ordinance. The purpose of the council. An Environmental Advisory Committee is hereby established for the purposes of advising the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors and other boards and committees of the township on matters dealing with the protection, conservation, management, and use of natural resources, including air, land, and water resources located within the township, and to help educate residents about the importance of environmental protection.
What might be the background to be on this committee? Right?
Any resident could be on the committee.
Yeah.
Like a zoning board or planning board or
The
board or
the ordinance that's before the draft this evening contains no qualifications for membership on the committee.
thank you.
Any other public comment?
Hello, my name is Ivy Ross, and I am on the Environmental Advisory Council for Warrington Township. And I read about your proposal to have a council, and I just wanted to speak to that a little bit. And I could probably answer this gentleman's questions as we have a very active environmental advisory council in that township. We have members that are residents, they're all residents of any kind of qualifications. We have one of our members worked for the EPA. I myself was a consultant for an engineering company that did wetland delineations. We have the president of Bucks County Birders that comes on. Basically what happens is we have residents that have experience in environmental advocacy or different types of work that we do. And we get together and we do projects. So right now we're doing a lot of watershed projects. We're doing a lot of pollinator planting in the township. We build bird houses and bat houses and kestrel houses. We hold volunteer days. We have one this coming Saturday where we're going to have 80 volunteers come from Warrington Township from all over. So we advertise it. We have Boy Scouts, we have Girl Scouts, we have kids from the high school and the elementary school and the middle school. And it's just really nice because it's, you know, work in the community and we do great things to beautify the community and make them more environmentally friendly and sensitive. We are able to get grant funding by having an environmental advisory council. And that's what I see as one of the, you know, the benefits of bringing residents in that have background in environmental, you know, different areas of the environment. So we have a stream health grant that we received for testing the water quality and planting pollinator plants and doing stream bank restoration, things of that nature. So I think it's very exciting that you're considering having this committee, and I would really like to see you do that, especially as a neighboring community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
State your name and your address, please.
Kathleen Davis, 32 Clearview, Chalfont. And first of all, I just want to say, I think this would be just a great boon. It's a wonderful thing for the township. And really would be excited to see it go through. I do have one question. So the ordinance is really clear that the EAC would advise and assist, particularly the planning committee and Parks and Rec. Is there a way to clarify how those connections would be made? You know, sort of some sort of structure or plan in place so that the different groups know how to talk to each other? You know, do you figure you would put something like that? I don't know. It's an open question. Just thinking about the people in the AAC and how they would go about advising and assisting in a really practical way.
Would we be doing an associate resolution to sort of, if we wanted to codify a relationship between the planning commission and asking them to send a liaison, since there'll be a liaison from the board of supervisors?
I think that's something we had discussed, and I think we need to take a look at the resolution language. We're working on that for a few of our committees. But certainly I would hope that as we're all residents who serve on these committees or these councils, that they would be willing to hear comments. And certainly all of these committee meetings are open to the public, and there should be public comment allowed at all of them. But we're looking to do a resolution that would more clearly define the roles of the various committees.
Right, the interconnectivity of the various boards and commissions.
This is step one to get this done. Took 3 years, but it's now getting done. And then that will be the next step. Once this is enacted, then we will be looking at those resolutions, which we actually have copies of and need to discuss.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Hi, my name is Ken Jones, 116 Circle Drive. I'm here sort of representing the Neshaminy Watershed Association. We're very excited about the prospect of having, you know, an environmentally focused committee within the township from a coordination standpoint. And, you know, I've worked with Ivy and the Warrington organization, you know, in very, very positive ways, particularly in the watershed. So the other thing I think that the EAC can bring is there are lots of different organizations out there who are doing good work, and having a central kind of coordinating group that is aware of all of those and can sort of act on behalf of the township in that area, in that domain, I think would be a very positive thing. So I'm fully supportive of what you're doing here tonight.
Margaret Briggs, 245 Morris Park Drive. As most of you know, I have been wanting to do something like this in this township for years, from when me and Penny were trading through our open spaces and trying to figure out what we weren't using as parks, where we could improve, and just trying to take the township in a direction where we try to protect what we do have and educate residents, and just basically try to give the wildlife and the creatures that keep getting squeezed in our township and neighboring townships. So I am fully supportive of this. I do have one logistical question, and maybe you can answer this. Technically, I think the ordinance said within the territory of the township. Where does Peace Valley Park fall into that? Technically,
it's a county property they maintain,
okay,
and
so
we'd have to set up coordination. Yeah, if you want to do anything, you just have to coordinate with the county.
Well, I'm just mentioning it if it's something that you want to clarify in the ordinance, how there would be an interaction between the county. If there was something in the watershed that
it's not actually township, it's not ours at all. So it's in the township, but it's not the township.
The township can't pass an ordinance that affects land the township does not control.
Okay, so then the wording of that one paragraph.
But yeah, but the park is not our land. It's not part of the township. It's like an out parcel.
I understand that, but it's geographically in New Britain Township.
So is Chalfont Borough and New Britain Borough in parts. Yeah, I got you.
Let me see if you're saying that you would like to see maybe a connection made, like we would codify in a resolution with Park and Rec and Planning Commission, to maybe say have an outreach to the Bucks County parks thing to talk about if there's things that are flowing from the township into the park, then that might be just a connection.
That's quick. Can we?
I don't know that
can we put that in? Can we codify that the county that they were?
No. To make the connection with,
right?
Advise with.
Yeah, I think that's
advise and liaise with other entities.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the most you would be able to put it in a resolution, because the other entity does not have to accept that advice or liaise.
Oh no, not to accept, but at least.
I know we can't name anybody. It has to be just a general.
If it's not our own.
And again,
I would
that the county would be willing to work with us.
I would suggest that the board may want to consider delineating those advice and liaison relationships on a case-by-case basis rather than including them all in one single resolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions?
Woman in the back.
Oh, back.
36 Maple Avenue. So I think it's a great idea. It's something that's existed in many townships that I've lived in before. And I was very excited to hear about this initiative. I've actually spoken with a lot of my neighbors who are really into gardening. They're in Bucks County Gardening Club, and they plant native species. They're advocates for that. And in so doing, I found out one of my neighbors, actually two of them, I think it's a husband and wife team, are both landscape architects, and they were saying, oh, this would be super exciting if we could do something, because I feel like our New Britain Township isn't quite doing enough. And I said, oh, well, you should come to the Board of Supervisors meeting and speak with them and maybe lend your expertise. So my only question, so that's my comment, is I think this is a great idea. My question is, how will we advertise it to the broader community? Because I think we probably have so much talent within our community that we can pull from.
I believe we had discussed putting out a notice like we do for all the committees that if you're interested, please submit an application.
Facebook website.
And there's always, if you're not even not on that council or committee, there's always, we welcome volunteers. We welcome volunteers.
When's the next newsletter?
Reading my mind. So we're working on our next newsletter, hard copy newsletter, and we're going to put something in this issues, just a general call for volunteers, not a specific, hey, these are the boards that are open, but just as a reminder, we would love to have volunteers.
Yeah.
Here's the mechanism that you use to go and volunteer, submit your information.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a general lack of awareness, and the more we can, coordinate with the residents would be awesome.
Thank you. Anybody else?
There being no further public comment, I would seek to close the hearing.
Motion to close?
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Thank you very much for voicing your opinion. Okay, next time we have a zoning hearing board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are three matters pending before the zoning hearing board that we wish to call to your attention. First is 4275 County Line Road. That is the McDonald's located there. The application essentially seeks to create two drive-through lanes where there is currently one drive-through lane in the McDonald's. As far as McDonald's restaurants in the area go, I believe this is a common trend that we've been seeing across many municipalities and many McDonald's restaurants. The specific request, there are two requests for variance. One is to increase the impervious surface ratio on the property. I will state for purpose of public information, the ordinance requires no more than 65%. The property is currently at 81.2%, and the applicant is seeking to go up to 82.3%. So an increase of just a few hundred square feet compared to the size of the overall parcel, up 1% from where it already is, which is an existing nonconformity in the property. The second variance they're requesting is on the number and orientation of menu boards and signage around the drive-through. The ordinance requires no more than one. There are currently two. They're seeking a total of four. In all things considered, the solicitor's office sees these requests as somewhat de minimis, considering the nature of the property as it currently sits. We're not recommending that the board intervene in this application, and that the zoning hearing board be left to determine without our intervention.
What?
I agree. Okay, yeah. Right. It is what they're doing these days.
The next property, next applicant is 205 Poplar Road. The applicant there is seeking to construct a 16 by 28, that's 440 square feet if you're keeping track, roof over an existing deck. So it's not adding any impervious surface. The request and the application is that they need, the applicant needs relief from the yard setback. The roof would extend into the backyard. The ordinance requires a setback of 40 feet. They want to establish a 17-point, they want to encroach upon the setback by 17.5 feet to essentially build the roof over the already existing deck. Again, the solicitor's office has reviewed this with the engineer and township staff. We don't believe there's any necessity here for the board to intervene in this matter, and that the applicant can proceed with their application to the zoning hearing board.
Does the deck itself already protrude out into the?
The deck itself already does.
So it's already out more than.
There's already a deck there.
Right. Okay. Right. Really?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. And finally, 544 Airy Avenue. This is an application. It's a corner lot seeking to add an attached garage to the already existing home. That attached garage would be approximately 32 by 26 or 832 square feet. the applicant is seeking relief from the front yard setback. And as I said, this is a corner lot. The front yard setback in the ordinance is 50 feet. The applicant seeks to encroach upon that 21 feet into the setback, leaving 29 feet from the proposed construction to the property line. Based upon review of this application by the solicitor's office with the engineer and the township staff, we again do not feel that there is anything here that warrants township intervention.
Understanding that the front yard, when you have a corner property, is really the side yard, what we would normally call side yard.
Right.
That's two front yards.
Right.
Or two side
There's a zoning hearing board wins on this one.
Yeah.
Those are the applications, sir.
Okay. And action items. Motion to approve the meeting minutes of the Board of Supervisors meetings on April 17th and May 1st, which was a special meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item we have is motion to approve the schedule of bills.
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussions, questions? It's in the amount of $391,038.15. So we have a motion and second, no discussion. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just want to also point out, if you noticed, that it included the quarterly distributions to our fire and EMS. Higher than usual.
I did so notice. Next item is motion to approve Limpy Valley TNT softball tournament at North Branch Park. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
We do have a member from Limpy Valley here. Does the board have any questions about this?
Any questions you have?
No.
Any questions we have?
He's still awake.
No.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item we have is a motion to approve resolution 2023-11, amendment to Sterling Act of 1932.
I'll make that motion.
For a second.
Second.
I will discuss this just for the people who are out here who may not know this. Back in the throes of the Depression, Philadelphia was basically bankrupt. And a way that they got extra money was by enacting the Sterling Act, which said that if you worked in the city of Philadelphia, you had to pay a wage tax to Philadelphia. But you didn't have to pay a wage tax to your local municipality at that point. Now, of course, back in those days, there weren't very many people that actually were working in Philadelphia that lived outside the city. Now we're in a totally different situation. Now what we're trying to do is just get that portion of the Sterling Act revised so that the people who live in the surrounding communities pay their earned income tax to the municipality in which they live, and not the 3 1/3% or whatever that the city charges. The city would still get the balance of what they're charging people, but the municipalities would get their 1%. We're trying to get the state to go along and change that. So that's what this is for. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-0402, establish an environmental advisory committee, council, board, whatever.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item, motion to award 2023-2024 road program bid. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
If I could, I'd like to turn this over to our road paving guru, Assistant Manager Mike Walsh, so he can give you a crash course on everything for the 2023 road program.
Thank you very much. The board has received in the packets, there was a memo outlining who the lowest qualified bidder was, which was James D. Morrissey. they were the lowest bidder on both the base bid of the contract as well as the alternatives. I also provided in as an exhibit to let the board see, because there was discussions about wanting to see what those real curb costs could be moving forward. So we did the alternative with the sense of getting a better grasp on those prices. I included exhibit A, which is the base bid, and it outlines for the board and for the township the differences between our estimates and what the real bids were, which we luckily came in well under what we anticipated on both. And just wanted to outline in exhibit B that as we discussed previously, liquid fuels funds can only be used for blacktop and ADA ramps. We can't necessarily use those funds for curbing along residential properties that aren't tied into an aspect like an ADA ramp. So breaking out all the costs and everything after we've gone over based on this bid, the residential cost would be roughly totaled $46,305. So as we've discussed moving forward, the staff's recommendation is to award the base bid this year and reject the alternative. And then on the memo, we made a second recommendation as we've been discussing this just from a logistical standpoint of these paving programs. If, you know, I think these are some costs we can fit into our budgets moving forward. And I think if it would be a good recommendation for the board to consider looking into revising our existing policies and perhaps start annually budgeting for some of these curb expenses. It would really free up staff time and make these projects flow a little easier. It would take a lot of coordination when it comes to notifying residents that you have a year to make these repairs, but then we still have to make the repairs. Then residents that didn't pay, we have to bill, and it creates a lot of logistical work. It takes away from moving a lot of these projects forward. So it would just be our recommendation that the board consider looking into that as a secondary recommendation.
So if you remember, excuse me, if you remember, this came about from a conversation that we had at the board. I believe Chairman Jones asked, you know, what it would cost for the township to start absorbing the costs for curbing along mill and overlay streets. And so this exercise was for us to get good information for you. So you kind of what it would cost the resident, that ineligible cost, that 46,000 and some change, that is ineligible. That would, under our current organizational resolution, says that gets passed on to the residents. So for next year's road program, we need to notify those residents along the stretches of roads that are up for mill and overlay and identify which curbs need to be replaced. And then that is going to be on the homeowner, the property owner, to repair them prior to the mill and overlay. So this exercise is for the board to consider starting in 2024, start budgeting for these. If that's the approach this board so chooses. And we talked about this at the previous meeting, and the township engineer shared insights from his experiences as well. More municipalities are going to this methodology where they are absorbing those costs because they define that a curb is a part of the road system, anything that touches the road. So that's, I feel like I'm rambling now, but we have some good data for you now.
I have a question. I guess maybe Mike could answer this. When was the last time we did a project where we billed or required the residents to pay to repair curbs?
So the last time we did that was my very first year in 2017. Due to COVID and a number of things, these roads that are in alternative one have been pushed off for a number of years. I've had multiple conversations with Mr. Cressman about wanting to get these done. So but we did it in 2017. I believe they did it 1 year prior to that, 2016. So we've gone through that process twice since that iteration of the board enacted that resolution. Otherwise, we haven't done roads with curbs since then.
So we
haven't done curbs.
So no curbs because we haven't done a street with curbs.
So we have required residents in the past to pay for these repairs. And now we're suggesting that residents in the future should not have to pay for these repairs. That should come from township money, including residents that live on streets that don't have curbs.
Specifically as it relates to the annual road program project, where we wouldn't want to change where we do UNO inspections and things like that. That would still be at those phases, would still be on the resident. We'd like to identify those things at those phases to make those repairs at those times. But
do you remember where the projects were done in 2017?
Brittany Farms.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone in Brittany was required to pay their curbing.
And I would say that if the township tried to eat that cost, we're probably looking at what? For future paving, you know, $250,000.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So
this is like half, $50,000. I would recommend that the board consider budgeting 75,000 every year, and we only spend 50. And so, we build up that pool of money to use.
I would say we need to evaluate what parcels in the township have the largest area of curbing that we would have to consider if we change this policy, and what those costs associated with them would be based on these numbers.
And my point is really not to the cost, but to whether or not it's fair to require parts of the township to pay for their curb repairs and other parts not to.
Well, if we change this policy would be henceforth.
Henceforth.
So any curbing to be replaced now, if we decide to, would be done by the township. And of course, in a community that doesn't have curbing, well, they don't have curbing to replace. So
right, but they're contributing to the cost of replacing other people's curbings. It's not in front of their house. And to Greg's point, this is a smaller area located in West that isn't going to cost that much. But yes, if we had to go back to Brittany Farms or the Fairwoods, it's not going to be 46. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I don't want a blanket change of policy until I can see what the effect would be down the road.
Yeah, just because this year it wouldn't be too bad. I don't think that's a good reason to change the policy.
So I think we need to have some more information. When would we be seeing the road program that you've been working on to rank all our roads at the moment? That might be something that would be a good thing to look at. This is only 0.7 of a mile. I would hope that we would do more than 0.7 of a mile worth of paving each year. So that would, how many roads do we need to?
Boy, it's almost like I've asked you to plug my presentation that we're going to be making in 2 weeks. So yeah, so we are hoping to present it tonight, but given the pomp and circumstance, we didn't want it to get lost. And so I moved it to the work session in June, because I want to make sure the board has ample time to absorb the data. It's a lot of data, but the visual of it, to see where the prioritization and put the dollars and cents to it, will really help guide this conversation as well. It's getting to the point though where we're getting that to that 12-month notification time, that if we are going to move forward with the mill and overlay of the roads for 2024, we need to notify the residents very soon. We want to make sure we give them at least 12 months notice that, look, we're going to be milling and overlaying, we're going to be repairing roads, you're on the hook for curbs. That needs to start happening. So I encourage the board to expedite this conversation and make a decision one way or the other. We need some guidance.
Staff needs to run some numbers for us quickly.
We've got the worst case scenario. We have those numbers. We have the total length of curbs and what it would cost, and we can. I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me right now. I have that.
For tonight, though, we just need to approve this year's payment.
Yes.
So that's the real question in front of us tonight.
Yes. But I don't want us to wait too much longer to rule on whether you want to update the existing resolution requires residents to absorb the cost of curbs and sidewalks during the time of mill and overlay.
What is the timeline? What is the absolute latest that we would have to start sending out those notices?
For us to effectively notify residents with a 12-month timeline, I would say we'd have a good idea if we do the June 5th road program meeting, that would be, to me, the cutoff date, because I would want the rest of the month to make sure we putting proper notices together and getting something out.
But if we wait means it pushes the paving season to next year.
Does the ordinance require 12 months notice, or is that what we just prefer?
The resolution.
Resolution says.
Yeah.
It's
All right, so can we get that data?
Yep. I'll forward that, yes. It's just a worst case, you know, if here's the total linear footage of curbing using this value, this is how much it would cost divided by however many years you would have to do it.
So we're just talking about covering the cost of curbing. The sidewalks would still be on.
Right.
And aprons of the driveways.
Right.
Sidewalks and aprons.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have a motion and a second. We're awarding the 2023.
Yes.
Right, not rejecting an alternative. One.
Yeah.
All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're down to informational items. And Township Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So steal my thunder, we'll talk about the draft paving program presentation. It will be presented at the June 5th work session meeting. I'm really excited about it. Ryan Gaiman will be giving the presentation since he's the one who did all of the work for it. I just think you're going to be really excited to see. I'm trying not to oversell it, but it's got a pretty cool wow factor. Here's something that I'm looking for the board's guidance on as well. We've been working, staff have been working to secure different proclamations from various governmental entities, agencies, electeds for our 300th anniversary. And a comment that we've received from all of them is asking, when would you like those proclamations to be delivered? They would like to incorporate that in the proclamation, such as the ones that are on the walls here. And staff would recommend that the board consider naming June 19th, which is the business meeting in June, as that official date where we could have those members here to present them to the board. Is there any objection to that? We thought about, maybe having it at Fall Fest, but the logistics of it, having a microphone, it's just too many moving parts, and thought it would be a little more formal to have it during the board meeting.
That's right.
Is there any objection to that? Okay, good. Thank you. I had forwarded the board earlier today a copy of a draft ordinance that Supervisor Cynthia Jones forwarded to me about America 250. Is that something that the board would also be interested in moving forward with? If you've had a chance to look at it, it's in support of America's 250th anniversary. And just to encourage the Pennsylvania to take a lead in that, because we played such an integral role in this country. If so, we can have a draft resolution ready for the 19th. If I don't hear any objection.
If we don't have to have a 250th committee, that's all.
Speaking of that, that'll come up in Supervisors comments.
I got a couple more things here.
Mr. West, if I can just be clear, I think you misspoke when you started that conversation. You're discussing a resolution, not an ordinance, correct?
Oh my God, I said ordinance. Now I'm saying ordinance now. Yes, it's a resolution, not an ordinance.
Yes.
Just don't want anybody to be worried about advertising.
Yes.
That's all.
And no public hearings. Yes, look at me. Okay. Water main project, Park Ave, Ferry Road. I got a notification from North Wales Water Authority late in the day today that they'll be working at the intersection of Park and Ferry with no direct access to Park Avenue. Hold on. I was waiting. Please note that on Election Day, which is tomorrow, there will not be any work. They will be using flaggers, and there will be access to this polling location. It'll be unrestricted to vehicular traffic, so that all voters can access the voting polls at the township building. All right, and then starting the week of May 20, which is next week, they'll be milling and doing base repairs over the trenched areas down the road in front of the treatment plant. Just as a point of information, we hosted a tri-municipal e-recycling and shredding event on May 6th, which is always a big hit. Interestingly enough, I attended an online meeting with the Bucks County Commissioners for municipal managers, And one of the things that the county is looking to move forward is a pilot grant program to reimburse municipalities that host e-recycling events. So much like our event, which is a tri-municipal event, which is $2,500, we pay the vendor $2,500, the total cost of which is more than $2,500, and those fees get passed on to the residents who interact with the recycling event. The county grant, from my understanding, is that they're looking to reduce or eliminate those pass-on fees to residents. They're looking at, the numbers that I saw was $4,000 reimbursable for a single municipality. But if it's a multi-municipality, which is ours, they would reimburse up to $12,000 for all costs. So I was running the numbers, and that would just essentially mean no cost to residents if we would move through with this and the county actually approves this pilot. So that's really good. They're just seeing a lot of interest in the e-recycling and shredding events across the county. Lastly, planning continues for the 4th of July parade. If you saw on my update email last week to the board, we're finding it challenging this year to find convertibles.
It's been a challenging prior years too.
So it's even more challenging this year. So I'm saying this early and often that it might be non-convertibles this year. So don't just, I need the board to think creatively, and if you can secure your own vehicle, that would be even better. So if you can, let me know. We can help. I can pass that to Christine, who's coordinating.
Skateboarding.
I have a suggestion. Perhaps we can get a public works truck to pull a.
We can certainly do that if
and
you
just
want to get
trailer, sit us all on top of the trailer.
They already do pull a trailer.
Yeah.
The
Veterans. Well, that's going to be part of the 300. That's going to be so they'll be freed up to perhaps pull off.
I don't know. I think that's a different group. I think it's like the
Evelina Burgrass brand.
No, it's not the VFW that they pull the public works pulls. I think it's something Legion or
the American Legion. Okay. All right. Because the veterans are going to be that gets 300.
So I'm just saying that we might need to get creative this year. Right. Yes. So if it's something that the board has resources to secure your own convertible, if you want to do something different, just let me know. It's coming up fast. And that concludes my report. And the departmental reports have been submitted and are part of the package. And I turn it over to Chief Klauser if he has anything that he'd like to.
But before Chief starts with Public Works, I just had a thought about the permitting. Have we seen an increase in more well permits being needed to either dig deeper or move them or anything? Would that be something, just thinking about the transmission line that's going north and the thought of TFASs and everything? So I just wanted, it just popped into my head that that might be something
for which I don't have an answer to right now.
But we do have people they have to apply for a well permit to do what? Dig it deeper, move it, do anything with their well.
Changes the existing well.
Okay, so we can pull those information.
As far as because I reviewed that, I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
No increase. No
not unless it's related to some type of construction, but not just to increase.
Okay.
I do have a question about this. What are all the white pipes coming up? Curved pipes they've placed along Park Avenue.
Those are they're almost like breather pipes where they can get in to shut off the line or something.
I don't know.
No one's going in that.
They look like a candy cane.
They did that when they put.
Are they permanent or just temporary?
Along schoolhouse and all that. They're all along schoolhouse. When they did that.
I thought it had something to do with the sewer lines, not.
No, that's water.
That's water.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's marking.
I'm wondering.
That's strange.
Yeah, I don't. Well, never mind. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
they're curved. They're curved.
Yeah,
straight up.
Correct.
Yeah. Normally you do that for ventilation, but. Okay. See if I can get an answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board has a copy of my report. The only thing I'd like to highlight is we have received the body worn cameras. We'll be doing training on them next week, so they will be deployed by the end of this month.
Very good.
And I saw them in the bills. I'm like, ooh, good.
Anything else there?
So I have, this board has any questions for me?
Okay. Solicitor's report.
All relevant reports have been either recorded in my written report, which was distributed earlier today, or given an executive session.
Any questions for him? Engineers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ditto, you have our May report, and I have no updates to that report.
What are supervisors' comments?
Well, would you like to start?
No, you can start first. I've got a few.
I was not able to attend the last 300th committee meeting. I don't know if you were there, Supervisor Hood.
No, I tried to call to get a Zoom in, but I was unsuccessful. I understand that we have a crumbling committee.
Yes. Some voluntary, some involuntary, and I think perhaps we need to have a Zoom meeting next week with Supervisor Hood, myself, Mr. Rimmer, and
whoever else is left,
Mr. Fisher, to discuss the status of the tent plan, because our major contributor and planner is no longer with us to work on it. So we may need to tweak those plans, and I think the sooner we discuss that, the better. I don't want to wait a month to.
So I can confirm that we did discuss that at the Tricentennial
Okay.
Committee, and I am working on putting out a call for a date with everyone to set up that Zoom meeting before the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
How is the 4th of July float going, since that's the next upcoming event?
Fortunately, that person has not quit.
Resigned.
I believe Ms. Briggs was at the meeting, could tell us.
Well, first of all, we didn't have a quorum, so it wasn't an official meeting. We could use volunteers for sure for the July parade, but to put something out there, we need to have a meeting to prove that. So I think that's
the
probably
township
the first thing we can get on the website is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the township can support that. It doesn't need a motion by the committee. We can push that out on the website and social this week. Just call for volunteers.
I know Lori's been working hard on alternative flags and everything.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the flags.
And I don't know if there would be room, but maybe you guys could ride on one of those floats instead. Can't find a convertible on.
That actually might.
I'll walk, I don't care.
I'm riding a skateboard.
Dressed up in colonial.
Yes, you need to. I had that thought, but I haven't really spent much time looking for. I did Google a little bit, and there's not really much.
Can we have Under Armour design it so it looks like the old wool,
Yeah,
but it
it's
isn't the old wool for the
Yeah,
middle of July?
Wearing wool, that's for sure. That's for sure.
I'm
I am allergic to wool, so that I would be not wearing wool for very long.
So hopefully our June 5 or June 19, we'll have a bit more of an idea of what's.
We hope. This is the problem that we run into perpetually forever and ever. Amen. Is that, we need volunteers. We ask for volunteers. Everybody says that they want to volunteer, but nobody ever actually volunteers.
Well, there has to be kind of a direct.
Yeah,
request,
we need.
And I have some ideas where we might be able to get some.
Yeah, we need to. We need some contact.
We need to contact the
One of the Boy
schools, the Boy
Scouts.
Scouts.
See, all of them are already in the parade. That's part of the problem.
Not all the there's other troops.
We can figure out how to redirect them.
How about youth groups?
Sure.
Yeah, we have to figure out something. Anybody with an idea, please. We are struggling for volunteers, as Mary Margaret will be very frustrating.
That's it.
I don't have any.
Mr. Hood?
Have you received any response in regards to our stakeholders meeting for the fireworks that we are definitely having?
I have.
In case Mr. Who's.
I have gotten responses today. Based on the responses, I went away for a few more just to find out exactly where everybody is and whether next Wednesday will work for that meeting, or if I have to pick one of those other dates I sent out and get a call from everyone with if those.
Email today.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just pick one. Tell me when to be there.
Next,
So
the 17th was one of the dates.
That was what I was trying, this Wednesday was what I was trying to pigeonhole everyone to do, but I'm not sure based on auto responses and things I got. If people
Our
that,
EMC's out this week.
yeah, so I got that one and.
the emergency management coordinator's out. Oh, he has to be there.
And that's kind of where I was going based on who I get responses that can attend. I was gonna look at it. I know Chief had fire engagements for this Wednesday, so I was trying to gauge where everyone fell.
It looks like next week is more probability.
Yes.
Anything else?
I do. So I had an answer for the pipes, but I wanted to verify with an expert before I did. They are pressure reducing air inlets. So the event that there is a pressure loss, the pipe doesn't crush itself from a vacuum being created. So if there's some kind of issue with the line, that's what those are for. They're pressure reducing valves and air inlet valves. So
nice
tied in with check valves and all kinds of stuff.
Put all of those things in, because it's not certainly hidden or underground.
But they're white.
Yeah, it's PVC.
PVC.
There's check valves down there. Yeah, they're all the way down to the main. They're tied into the main and everything. So yeah.
Okay. Is he done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Sorry, Mary Beth skipped me. She started before I even got. Sorry. My supervisor. I wanted to thank all the volunteers that we had come out yesterday on Mother's Day. Margaret came out. We had a brand new group. Kathleen came out as well. And a brand new group called SEWA USA. It's a youth group. It's into doing volunteer and service projects around its area. Some of them actually live behind here at the moment, but they came out to do tree planting with us yesterday in the wet meadow in West Branch Park. We planted 16 trees, anywhere from about 5 feet to about 8 feet tall, and then we protected another 18 trees with little grow tubes. So hopefully, and Public Works has already stopped mowing it, so now it's turning into grassland, and all these lovely little plants will be hopefully coming up and growing stronger and sucking up some of that lovely water into the riparian buffer. And then I had attended the TMA, which is the Traffic Management Association for Bucks County 2 weeks ago. And at that meeting, they were asking for partners to join their air quality program, and New Britain Township did, and they started last week with sending out some air alerts. Actually, last week was Air Quality Week, so we got in just in the end, but to help keep residents informed about and encourage them to sign up for daily alerts when there's ozone problems and things with asthma and stuff. So that will be a great thing to see on our Facebook page and on our news link. And then my last one, I wanted to talk about the Park and Rec Board resolution. I know we had passed the ordinance in April, and as part of that resolution, it asks for our Board of Supervisors to set some rules and regulations necessary for the conduct of that committee. And I think we should start getting that finalized and formulated and passed as soon as we can. I know it's been floating around for a little bit, but I think we need to put it on our agenda either next month or the month after and just get it going. So it's been a couple months.
Yeah, next one. It has been out there. I've been meaning to go through it.
So if we can all bring that back to the top of our minds.
Send out a reminder email.
Yes, please.
Yep. There are some, I had asked the Park and Rec Board members if they would like to give me their ideas of what they would like to see the committee to be used for, and they've brought their ideas forward from a couple of people, and I've added mine. So it'd be great to have a good discussion about what we see them doing.
Are you asking for a resolution for rules and regulations or for what they will do? Those are two different things.
Well, I'm going by what our actual ordinance said.
Right.
To adopt rules and regulations necessary for the conduct of the business of the Park and Rec Board in order to carry out its purpose. So I'm assuming that resolution can do both. What's its purpose? And what are some of the rules, you know, scope of what they can do on behalf of the township or not on behalf of the township. So is that what you're?
No, what my reason why I'm asking is just so we know how to craft it once you guys give us the ideas. The way that it was written like that was to make sure that you can control the internal processes of the Parks and Rec. The ordinance, as far as what you want them to do, isn't that already in the ordinance?
Not the way I read it.
Okay. All right.
That will be the discussion.
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Excuse me, public comment. Yes.
An update on the fire hydrant across the street. They put a new fire hydrant in. On there. Yes. North Wales Water Authority. I was asking when we were gonna finalize it, because they just kind of sit there with the thing so people don't step in the hole that's all around it. They apparently are going to be doing landscaping this whole route over the next month and topping the macadam. It's not just whatever they put up, that they're not leaving it like that. So it's like another month that they're going to be
Landscaping,
the cleanup.
It's gonna be restoring to pre-construction levels.
all right, so there was a fire hydrant that they disconnected and now it's
No, there's a new
fire hydrant.
Yeah, I think the idea was they were going to add some fire service connections as part of the project, were they not? Even putting some on Ferry Road as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kind of sitting there, and they said they have to test it before they
Fill it. Yeah. Yeah, the way hydrants are made, there's multiple connections coming below ground and then above ground, so they have to make sure it's all leak tight before it has to sit for a while.
Anyway, another month or so.
Yeah. I believe you had a question back.
Yes, thank you. Kathy Brodenstock, 49 East Valley Road. I understand the Bristol Road Extension project is probably a PennDOT thing, but I live right at the T intersection of Ferry and Park in Calhoun. And last spring they came and PennDOT did some measurements, and we talked to them about it on email. And they said, "Oh, don't worry, 3 years will go by and nothing will happen." This spring they moved quite far into our property and were taking samples. So we got in touch with them and finally got a little bit more information, and they were talking about this is just another possible plan. Don't worry, but we're looking at the road runoff, and I'm concerned about our septic system, our well, and we also raise honeybees, and they were very close to all of that going on. And I don't know if I have any recourse, if you could give me some guidance, whether it would impact the watershed, what they're doing, or do I have any rights as a property owner to deal with them?
You want to give her?
Yeah. So, yep. So, there are no plans that have been solidified as of yet. They're right. I know. It goes hot and heavy. Oh my gosh, it's going, and then they disappear. Right now, they're in disappear mode. So I don't know where it goes. It's a PennDOT project, and prior to it being even the final plan being approved, there will be open houses. There will be resident meetings where you'll have that opportunity to be able to.
How will I know about that?
Once we know what that project is, we'll certainly put that out.
Not on the intel. Like you're gonna actually put it where we find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There is no intel anymore.
Right.
But you're putting solicitations or notices in until it gets there.
State law.
Required by law.
Well, you get it in the mail still.
Get it online.
So.
Right at the corner of East Valley, and the road is falling apart. The ditch is constantly, you have to keep redigging it. I think I was in touch with that by email. So we were looking at doing a conservation easement someday. And the more property they take, the less I have to offer. And, you know, I want to join in with my neighbors if they want to do it. I don't know why they couldn't come down, improve Peace Valley Road and put piping in there and then do, you know, the runoff into the road, because they say they want to dump it in the creek.
Well, I would say that one of the reasons why they're probably surveying your property is when they do a large project like this, they have to evaluate all intersections close by and see how they have to be improved to meet certain state standards. So that's why they're doing it. And the one part that Matt didn't mention is that, like, and Mary Margaret will tell you this, PennDOT is PennDOT. Until like we don't have any pull with PennDOT.
She's a better resource for you in
Yeah.
dealing with PennDOT than we are, because she's actually made headway with them.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just we won't know what PennDOT's doing until PennDOT tells us that they've already decided to do it. That's the problem.
Resources and water is a resource, and we have woods at the end. We don't know what they're going to take.
They have to do an environmental impact
study
of anything that before they do anything.
So the last plan that I saw was, I think, last year. That was the last time that I had interactions with PennDOT.
Okay.
And the Bristol Ave extension includes that intersection, which they are proposing to be a signalized intersection with a turn lane.
It's functioning fine as it is.
Right, and then there
Which intersection are you talking?
Ferry and Park.
Another problem is it won't function as well once they put in the Bristol Road extension.
Stopping the traffic isn't good. I don't think anyway.
So we will be supportive as much. I've communicated most of these concerns, if not all of them and more that I've had to PennDOT. They're aware of it and they just keep absorbing it and then they disappear. They move back into the woods. So
we get all happy. One of the trees right where they were, you know, taking the samples, and I'm like happy, and then this cloud comes over our heads. Okay, thank you. I appreciate being able to air my problems.
Oh, it's fine. No, please, yeah.
So, the last I heard from Nathan was March 27th. They are still in preliminary engineering. They're still potentially going to start 2026, but there could be budget issues. That's all he said.
He told us that, what, 5 years ago?
It's PennDOT.
I know. It's like, God, it's so mind-numbing.
Yep.
Great.
Brittany Drive. I'm curious to know what the township might do or is doing. The property at 298 West Butler Avenue, which is CVS. The lawn is over 2 foot high. Trash is filled up all on the backside of the property.
CVS.
We threw a notice over to the township last week about this, complaints or wherever the forms are, you know, right to know, so on and so forth. We haven't heard anything back from the township. The lawn itself, the property itself, has not been taken care of since mid-September. I know the property's been sold.
No, it's a bit.
I know that Goodman Properties does not own it.
Got it.
I'm curious what the township has done or might be doing, so on and so forth. Because if I was a resident and my neighbor didn't cut their lawn, I know the township could go through procedures and go and cut their lawn.
Yeah, we also do that.
Excuse me, I'm very crazy about 100 Brittany Drive, and I did reach out to Goodman, and they did tell me that they sold the property. They wouldn't give me any information, which I understand. I went into CVS multiple times and I spoke with different managers. They're unwilling, or maybe they don't know who's responsible to upkeep the property. I have no idea. They don't know who owns the property. You get the same answers. We've lived here for 23 years. There was never an issue. From 2020 to 2022, I had conversations, my husband did with Goodman on several occasions about cleaning the property up. And they took care of it. Now it's an absolute disgrace. I've never had rodents running in my property, and I'm not the only one. My dog has caught 2 rats.
So something needs to be done.
Yep.
And I don't know how to get in contact with the owners, because if I knew, trust me, I would be on the phone with them. I would be emailing them. I would just be torturing them until they came and took care of it. Because I have to live right, we're the first house, right, literally right behind them.
When, do you know when the property was sold?
Well,
They didn't tell me when it was sold, actually. They just said we recently sold. Now, they also own the property, the strip of stores next to it, okay? And there's only like 2 functioning businesses in there. And that kind of started to decline a little bit. So of course I was on the phone. And they had somebody go out and they've been taking care of that. It's not how they used to, but at least they're taking care of it. Because there's also that wooded area that butts up against the residential homes. And at one point, it looked like a homeless encampment back there.
Wait, hold on. So they took care of the strip mall.
Because they still own that.
No, how did they subdivide and sell it off if they?
2 parcels.
2 parcels.
It is 2 parcels. I thought it was 1 parcel when it was approved.
Goodman,
I thought we approved that as 1 parcel.
I think CVS had to own it.
So does CVS own that corner parcel?
no.
So then
It is owned by
Exchange Right Net dash lease portfolio 58 DST, care of Altus Group US Incorporated, Post Office Box 1610. Cockeysville, Maryland.
Yeah, that was sold on 9 August 22.
I thought we approved it at the same time. I thought it was 1 parcel.
No, it's 2. Getting a telephone number for these.
Yeah.
For this.
It might show 2 now, but I don't remember it being 2 back then.
Did we, have we done anything for the complaint we received?
Out tomorrow, and I can tell you my process. Honestly, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, but I'm happy that you told me. I'll be first thing on my agenda tomorrow. Is try to get in touch with them. If not, I send out a letter. I give them a week or 2.
Right.
If I don't hear back from them, they get a notice of violation. After that, they get cited if nothing is done. So I will be on top of them starting first thing tomorrow. Yep.
You're saying a week or so, okay, which I understand. I get all that. We don't, because if we had Goodman's number, it was easy enough to contact Goodman. I don't understand the process, but it's getting.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
No, I'll first thing on my
I mean, even like I would take the dog around, you know, and I always pick up after the dog, and it's to the point now I can't even take the dog over in that area because it's so high. You don't know, like there's ticks and things. I don't feel like dealing with that either with the dog. Plus the road thing. No thanks.
Yeah.
So,
I think if this has been ongoing, it hasn't been taken care of since they sold it in September.
yeah, I don't know when they actually sold it.
September was the last time they
cut.
That's
what she said.
When you're out there cutting your lawn, you don't want the lawn.
Mid-September was when the property changed hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
So they've.
Well, it was recorded in September, yeah. Sold in
I'm surprised that CVS hasn't gotten in touch.
I think CVS may be having.
They're having their own problem.
Well, there's a CVS on the corner of 113 and 313 in Hilltown that has the same conditions, long grass and unkempt and trash accumulating and things like that. It may be that CVS is having a difficulty with their local contractor that they contract with to clean up the properties. That's just a guess. That doesn't excuse it, obviously. It still needs to be taken care of.
This property was always maintained right into Goodman because talking to the landscape people prior throughout the years, it was always directly through Goodman. They worked through Goodman.
So, well, we will absolutely get on that ASAP.
Thank
you.
And other municipalities that they've had issues. I think Sean's right. It's just be prepared. It's an ongoing, because Bruce is local and, you know, you probably call it, you got somebody out there, but I think someone's doing more of a chain type of maintenance.
They may get a response that, oh, we're working on it, and then, you know, we'll have to.
You know the one, I know at least 3, and they're all CVS's. Yeah. So you got to continue to stay on.
Thank you very much.
Go through more of the zoning process to get it documented.
Any other public comment?
Okay, well, excuse me. One thing, the beautiful, and yeah, am I elaborating a little bit? The township building gets taken care of with nice flowers and everything like that. The landscape, the Brittany farm signs. I know one's on quote, the CVS property, the other one is maintained by the township, the lawn. Is there any reason why them signs can't be,
Yeah,
the landscaping around them signs can't be taken care of?
yeah, they're.
Flowers and everything?
We need community volunteers to do that.
Everything's.
I take care of the sign,
I'm not saying the sign, I'm saying the landscaping.
we take care of the landscaping in our community.
There was an older couple who lived up in the development and took care of the one on the township side. I'm just curious if, since the township cut the grass, why can't the township cut the bushes, so on and so forth around that side?
So there's already landscaping there that needs to be trimmed.
Right.
It needs to be spruced up,
If there's.
taken care of.
Yeah, at some point you can't even tell if it's.
Why do we maintain
Because
it?
they've gotten so.
With the signage.
Okay.
I did not know that. Thank you for letting.
Literally just own
Learn something new
signs.
every day.
Is there anything else? Public comment? Any other announcements? I will make the announcement that our next meeting is on Monday, June 5th at 7 p.m. in the Township Building. Agenda and meeting materials will be posted on the Township website before the meeting date. And a recording of this meeting will be available on the website online within 24 to 48 hours. Is that correct? Right. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
No more.
For a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.